Hi, it's Kristen, and it's the Autumn Mix-Tape Readathon. So, a couple of months ago, I did the Summer Mixtape Readathon and had a lot of fun with it, and they announced that they were doing the Autumn Mixtape Readathon, which I'm very happy with. So, the Autumn Mixtape Readathon goes from the 3rd of October to the 16th of October, so it's 2 weeks long. There's different reading prompts and then different self-care prompts, which I think is always a nice touch. Today is the 10th of October. I have missed the entire first week of the readathon. I had a book I was finishing up, and then I had a book I needed to read for my book club, and I had work, and it just got on top of me a bit, and so then I took like a day's break to sort of get myself together. And I'm gonna start the Autumn Mix-Tape Readathon today, Monday the 10th, so I have a week of the readathon left. I did join in with a live show last week. I watched along with the opening live show, and I commented like my plans, not that I was enacting them for a little while. But I will show you what's on my TBR. I had like big hopes, but I'm not going to get to all these books now that I only have a week. I mean, the summer one I had a week and 2 days because I didn't join in from the start then either, and I still managed to read 3 full books and start another. So we will see. I'm working quite a lot this week, more than usual, so I'm not sure, and I think I promised my friend I'd meet up with her on Thursday as well, which is like the one day off I do have during the week. But we'll see. Okay, so the makers of the readathon are Jean from Jean Bookish Thoughts, Victoria from What Victoria Read, and Leanne from Literary Diversions. And then Amy, whose Instagram, I can't remember, runs like the Instagram side of things, but I will leave them all linked down below. So each of the prompts relates to a song. That's the whole point of the mixtape angle of this. And each song, generates a prompt. So the first prompt is All Too Well by Taylor Swift. Read a book with nature on the cover. So my pick for this is going to be The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millward Hargrave. This is about 2 sisters who are forced to work as slaves for this baron guy. I've just heard that it's very atmospheric, and it's, I believe, a retelling of, or like a prequel about the brides of Dracula. But this just has a lot of nature on the cover. We've got animals, we've got flowers and branches. The cover is beautiful, and I think it fit perfectly for this. I got this from the library. I think every book on my TBR is a library book. But yes, lots of nature on the cover, and Brides of Dracula sounds perfect for October sort of spooky-ish season. Then we have prompt 2, which is WITCH by Devon Cole, which is read either a witchy book or a witch book, as it with the initials, which means a woman in total control of herself. So for that I have The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. I just know that this is to do with elemental magic. I love witches, love witchy stories. Don't really know the plot of that other than that it's about elemental magic. But I've heard very positive things, so I'm hoping to get to that. Obviously that's an ebook, so I think that might be a good one to get to throughout this week. When I'm out and about, I don't have to take a physical book with me. I can read that. So that's pretty high on my priorities. Number 3, mixtape. Pick a book based on your favourite autumnal or Halloween bop. So essentially like a free choice. I really associate Taylor Swift's Red album with autumn, because I listened to that album so much in my first year of uni. In the autumn months, I listened to it when I would walk to and from my lectures, and I just very much associate like bundling up in my coat and my jackets and jumpers and walking to and from my lectures. Yeah, it just reminds me so much of autumn. So from the Red album, I also just love the song Red. So I picked Red as my prompt for my own free choice. Not so much on the lyrics, just the colour, for lack of anything else. So for that, I've gone with the space between worlds, because this lettering is red. And that's pretty much the only thing on the cover. So this is a sci-fi book about parallel universes, and you're not supposed to visit a world where your counterpart is still alive. And then in comes Kara, the, I believe, main character of this, who has counterparts in several different universes. They're all dead. 382 realities have been unlocked, and Kara is dead in all but 8. So she takes on this job travelling the multiverses, but then a doppelganger of hers dies, and so it seems that something more is going on. But I've not read a sci-fi in a while, and this just sounded really fun, so that is on my list as well. Then prompt 4 is California Dreaming by the Mamas and Papas. Read an unseasonal read. For that, I have The Dry by Jane Harper. This is set in Australia in the grip of its worst drought in a century, so very hot, humid feeling, which is in contrast to England's very wet autumn. So this is about a policeman, Aaron Falk, who returns to his hometown for the funeral of a childhood best friend, and he is drawn into an investigation. I think this might be my first read of the readathon. I've heard so many good things. I know this is like a favourite amongst the Mixtape Readathon hosts, and I've not read a thriller in a while, so I'm excited to get to this. Then we have Down Under by Men at Work. Read a translated read. So I have Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. This is just about a woman who loves working in a convenience store, and everyone thinks that she should do more with her life, and she's perfectly content how she is. It's very short, so I'm hoping to get to this one during the readathon. I feel like on a day maybe where I don't have much time, I can try and get through this one. It's only about 163 pages, so perfect for a readathon. But yeah, I've heard lots of people talk about this, and I want to see what I think. Then we get into the more self-care prompts. So we have Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac. Read in a cozy spot and share your setup. I will link my Instagram down below. I'm sure I will share photos that I take throughout the week. 7, Wake Me Up When September Ends by Green Day. Take some self-care time. That is the one thing I have actually done technically already, because the readathon started last week, so I factor that in. I did a face mask and stuff, so I will leave the clips in at some point. Then 8, This Is Halloween. Complete your favourite autumnal tradition. I don't really have an autumnal tradition, other than, I guess, going for walks, but I do that year round. But there is something about wearing a jumper and a scarf and a hat and cozying up and going for a walk, I guess, and then coming home and having a cup of tea. I guess that's my autumn tradition. I'm sure I'll do that at some point. Then 9, Monster Mash. What's your favourite autumnal or Halloween film? Yeah, I'll manage that at some point. I've been really wanting to rewatch a couple of like spooky films or like fun films. I really want to rewatch Ready or Not, which is like a horror thriller about a woman who marries into a family, and they have this tradition that the family then plays like a game, and she picks hide and seek, and turns out that means that she has to survive the night while the whole family try and hunt her down and kill her. I've watched it before, really enjoyed it, and I'd quite like to watch it again. This time of year seems like the time to do that. But I'd also like to rewatch, if I can find it somewhere, Happy Death Day. I've watched it quite a few times. I just really enjoy that film. It's about a woman who dies and wakes up, and there is a killer after her, and every time the killer kills her, she wakes up at the start of the same day, and so she's stuck in a time loop. She has to get herself out of the time loop, but also work out who is trying to kill her. It's very much a horror comedy. I just really enjoyed it, and I want to rewatch it. And that is all the prompts. I will link all the like social media stuff I said down below, the host and mine, and I will update you throughout the week with how I get on with my reading.
And beautiful cover. Woo!
So I'm going to go ahead and do one of the non-bookish prompts that are all about just like looking after yourself and stuff. And I am going to do the self-care prompt and put on a face mask. This one I got, I did a Boots order, and this came as a free gift, and it's a brightening stick mask, and you just like roll it on. And yeah, I'm gonna leave this on for 5 to 10 minutes while I make myself a cup of tea. And then I'm gonna sit down. I think I'm gonna watch some YouTube while I drink my cup of tea. So there we go. I'm all pink in the face masked up, ready for a cup of tea. Self-care is also drinking lots of water, staying hydrated. So I've got my tea and a pint of water, and I'm ready to get cozy on my bed. Good morning. It is Saturday, the 15th. There's just today and tomorrow left of the readathon. Have I finished a book? No. I didn't get as much reading done this week as I wanted to. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday just turned out to be really busy for me. I knew that I was like working all day Wednesday, and I was going out to see a friend on Thursday, but that lasted longer than I anticipated, so I didn't really read as much. So over those 3 days I read 17 pages of The Dry. But then yesterday I was covering at my old job, my old Saturday job. I used to be a receptionist at my dad's therapy centre, but his current receptionist took the day off because it was her birthday, and my mum, who also works there, couldn't cover because she was working her other job. So I said I would cover because I vaguely remember the computer system and stuff, and otherwise there was no receptionist, so I said I would cover. It was very busy, but within that time I still managed to find time to read, because obviously while clients are being seen and if the phone's not ringing, and I was doing like a lot of data entry, but there was so much data entry, I kept having to like take breaks, otherwise like my eyes felt very funny and I was just getting like repetitive strain on my hands of just clicking and typing. So yeah, I do like a block of data, take a break, read a chapter of my book, do a block of data, take a break. Because yeah, as long as the phone's not ringing and no one's coming through, you're just sat at a desk by yourself. So we're allowed to like read or listen to podcasts and stuff like that. So I managed to read 100 pages of this while at work. And then I came home and I read some. So I'm now 144 pages into the dry, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It took me a little bit to get into it, but I think that was because I read 17 pages over 3 days. So I wasn't feeling super involved in it. But being able to sit down yesterday and just read in more of a straight through fashion got me into this a lot more. So far in the plot, we have Aaron Falk, main character, goes back to his hometown for the funeral of one of his childhood friends who everyone believes killed his entire family, apart from one. So he killed his wife and killed his son, didn't kill the baby daughter, but then killed himself. Although the man's parents, or at least his mum, think that there's more to it, and so she asks Aaron, who's her childhood friend, but also a police officer who works in finances, to have a look at the family's finances, see if there was anything in the financial background to do with like debt, and almost like she's clamoring for a reason that this happened. So he begrudgingly sort of agrees to look into that for a little bit before he goes back to Melbourne. And while he's doing that, he runs into the town's new police officer, who he gets talking to and finds out that the police officer thinks that maybe there's more to it. There's a few parts of the story that don't quite make sense, or they rely too much on coincidence. And so the police officer's just not sure that they've got the full story. And so Aaron then sort of gets pulled further into this mystery. And that's where I'm currently at. I'm enjoying it a lot. They're starting to look into things. They're not working anything out yet, but they're talking to people and looking into possessions and things like that. But now I'm nearing halfway through the book. I feel like I'm going to hit upon some revelations and secrets and things. But running alongside this plot is something that happened in Aaron's past with his friend who is now dead. We know that a girl died in the past, but don't know how that's necessarily connected to Aaron, other than that he knew her. But it also gives this dynamic that he's come back to town, but people don't necessarily trust him, and his family is sort of seen as the town outcast kind of thing, which makes investigating a little more difficult. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm reading this as my unseasonal read, and that fits perfectly because over here it's been quite cold, like I'm cozied up in bed at the moment this morning, but this is set in a town where there's a horrific drought and it's just hot all the time and there's like no water, etc. So I just had breakfast in bed, which isn't as fancy as it sounds. I literally just went downstairs, made myself a bowl of fruit and came back upstairs and watched YouTube. But I think now I'm going to go do a bit of exercise. I've got a cross trainer, so I think I'm gonna take my book on the cross trainer with me, and maybe like read a chapter or two while I'm on the cross trainer. And I've got some household chores to do, take a shower, and then before my parents get home from work this morning, they're bringing home like a chippy lunch, which will be nice. But hopefully I can get everything I need to do done before they get home, and in that like in-between stage where I've done everything I need to do and I'm waiting for them, I can cozy on the sofa, put on some comfy clothes and read some more of this book. I would like to finish it today. That might be a bit ambitious because yeah, tonight my mum and I are watching Strictly. We always watch Strictly together, and that goes on for quite a while. And my sister and her friend are coming round to do some D&D character prep. We're playing a game of D&D in a couple of weeks on like Halloween weekend, and so they're coming round to prep their characters beforehand, which could take a little bit of time. So I'm gonna try and get through as much of this as I can. And then if I need to, finish it tomorrow. But yeah, this readathon has not gone the way I planned. But you can't always control these things. You know, life happens even when you have readathons planned.
I've done my workout, I've had a shower, I've done the washing up, I've put a load of washing on in the washing machine. I've got about an hour until my parents get home, so I'm just gonna read for that whole time. And yeah, hoping I can get another little chunk of the way through the dry, and I will update you later. I'm just feeling very cozy on my sofa, snuggled amongst the cushions and in my big chunky knit cardigan. Yeah, we'll update you later today, hopefully, if not tomorrow.
It's the next day. I have about 80 pages left. We've had a few secrets come out, a couple of things we've learned about the past and the present, but I'm still waiting for like some sort of twist or reveal of who the killer is, if it wasn't Luke, the man that everyone thinks killed his family, and if the mystery in the past is actually what it seems or not. I'm going to try and finish this morning, because this afternoon I have to do a work thing, so I want to finish this before I go and do that. This will probably be the only book I read for this readathon, which is a bit of a shame, but at least that's one book read. I did my self-care thing. Maybe tonight I'll do the movie night prompt. We'll see. So yes, I'm gonna aim to finish this morning, and I will update you later when I've finished. Just coming on to say, I have a few theories
about who's behind certain things, and I really want to know if I'm right, which means I need to keep reading. I finished reading The Dry sort of midday, and then I went on my work walking group thing I had to do, and then this evening I actually started reading Convenience Store Woman, which is the prompt for a translated work, and I'm over halfway through and it's really quick. I'm tempted to finish it. I need to go to bed because I'm working tomorrow. I'm tempted to finish it whilst it's still the readathon. I will update you on what I ended up doing tomorrow and go through my thoughts on this. But it's kind of late now. Do I finish it? Do I finish my book? You'll find out. Time for a wrap up. It's a couple of days later. We're on Wednesday of the week after the readathon. I just wanted to do a wrap up before I return these books to the library in a minute. So yes, Sunday morning or like midday, I finished reading The Dry by Jane Harper. I really enjoyed this one. I was right about who the killer was, but I didn't know why I thought they'd done it. I was like, bet this guy's the killer. Do I have reasons? No. But then I feel like I'm the kind of person who, when I read like a thriller or a crime novel, I suspect every person at some point. So, you know. But yes, I enjoyed it. I thought it was very atmospheric. And this does like stand alone, but I know it's part of a series following Aaron Falk as a character. For me, I'd like to read more from him because I felt in this one he was a little just kind of like a bit bland with like a semi-interesting backstory, but I think I'd like to read more to see if he develops, and like he's a nice enough character that I'd be interested to read more and see if we get more from him. So I would definitely read more in the series, but if you just wanted to read this by itself, then that's perfectly fine. Yeah, it's good. Some bits were tough to read. There's like a child death in here. A child is one of the people killed in the family, so there is that to be mindful of if that could upset you and it's not something you want to read about. Totally we get that. But yeah, I enjoyed this. Then I went on a long walk with my work's walking group for our service users, and I came home, had a shower, got all cozy and comfy, and then watched the Strictly results. And then I read a whole other book, which was great. I mean, the book was okay, but it was great that I read a whole other book. It is only like 160 pages, but I'd gone for a while of just like not really reading or reading here and there. So to read like a whole book in an evening, not even over a day, but in an evening, was fantastic. So this is Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. This is about a woman, I think I said previously maybe, who is a convenience store worker, and that's like her whole life, and it's all she does, and it's all she really wants to do. But she's aware that like everyone around her is thinking, why don't you have a better job? Why are you not married yet? Why do you not have a family? And so she sort of takes that on board and starts thinking that that is what she should do, and so it's her thoughts and feelings and discoveries about that. Yeah, just a short little sort of novella. Also with this, it's never said anywhere explicitly in the text, but Kiko, the main character, reads as autistic to me, which I liked if she is meant to be. I feel like if autistic people interpret the character that way, then
I will, you know, happily sort of buy into that interpretation as well. But yeah, the way she's written, I thought she seemed like she was autistic. And I think it's always great to read from different perspectives, and yeah, I thought this one was good. Although I then read a review. I read several reviews that all said that they also thought that Kiko was autistic. So I wanted to like check reviews to make sure it wasn't just me being like, is she supposed to be? But no, several reviews by autistic people said that they read her as autistic. So that was cool. But with that in mind, someone said that reading her as so obviously autistic, didn't love that like a lot of people who reviewed this were like, quirky character, exhilaratingly weird, gloriously nutty, like describing the book. But if the whole book is like about Kiko and her choices and her thought processes, they're like, if you're saying that about the book, you're kind of saying that about the character. And so the review was basically saying they didn't like that the book about this like easily interpreted autistic character was described as like quirky and absurd and stuff, which I agree with. Yeah, if you want like a fun sort of slice of life novella about like a character who doesn't really fit in or doesn't think they fit in, or other people don't think they fit in, then Convenience Store Woman is great. And this ticked off my to read a translated text, which is great because I need to read more translated fiction, really. So I'm just going to quickly get the bingo board up in front of me and we can see what challenges I ended up actually completing. If I can find this bingo board on my phone. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so I did read in a cozy spot. I read all curled up in bed and I read on the sofa. Done. Self-care time, I did a face mask. Unseasonal read, The Dry, set in Australia when it's summer. And translated book, Convenience Store Woman. And then there were some bonus little challenges that said share your favorite autumnal quote. On my Instagram stories I shared it's like a notable, not necessarily my favorite, but a notable autumnal quote from Anne of Green Gables, which is I'm so glad to live in a world where there are Octobers. Love Anne of Green Gables, so cozy, feels very autumnal to me. Yeah, and that's from the bonus challenges, pretty much all I managed to do. So yes, that is my wrap up for the Autumn Mixtape Readathon. I read 2 whole books. I thought I was only going to read 1, and then Sunday was like a comeback final day. Oh, fantastic. I really love the Autumn Mixtape Readathons. I think the prompts are always fun and there's a great sense of community. But yes, I will finish off here. I will post a picture of my bingo board so you can just see fully what I did. So yeah, I'm gonna go return my Autumn Mixtape Readathon books to the library now. Thank you for watching and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!